Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today, we're going to be doing a shorter one of these webinars. It's going to be a half hour. So we're going to go till 11:45 my time, Oregon time, Pacific time. And today we're talking about geography. We're talking about oceans. Yesterday, we talked about continents, the giant bits of land that you can see that the Earth is made up of. And today we're going to talk about the oceans, the giant bits of water that the world is made up of. Hello to everyone who is able to join us today. Let me pull up my slides here. Here we go. Okay, so there are 5 oceans on this planet. An ocean is a giant bit of water. That's a pretty basic definition of it. We have the Arctic Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, that's the one that I grew up closest to. We have the Indian Ocean, nice and warm. Pacific, that's the ocean that I'm closest to now. There we go, that actually looks like an F and an I. There we go. And the Southern Ocean. There we go. You can see those there. We're going to learn about each of these in turn a little bit. We're going to take some information on each of them. Let me pull that back up. Okay, we're going to go again alphabetically. The Arctic Ocean. This is a very cold ocean. If we were to look at the planet from the top, I'm going to pull out here. There we go. Here's our planet Earth and the continents that we learned about yesterday. We have North America, we have South America, here's Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, and then on what we think of as the bottom of the planet, we have Antarctica sitting just pretty much right on the bottom. It's like it sunk down kind of. At the top of the planet, here's your Asia, Europe, North America. We'll look right at the top. There's the Arctic Ocean up there. If you're looking straight down onto our North Pole of the planet, then you would see this. Now, it's not a wide open ocean. It is frozen the whole year. At least the top part of it's frozen the whole year. The bottom parts that are closer, that are farther away from the very center top of the planet, those will freeze and thaw throughout the year. So it's hard to sail this ocean. And you can see there's Alaska up here and bits of Canada up there. And there's Greenland. And then over here is Norway and Finland. And over here is Russia. Okay. The next ocean is the Atlantic Ocean. This is the one I grew up nearest. And we can see some familiar continents here. Let's see. All right. If you have access to your keyboard there, you can go into the Q&A, the question and answer part, and tell me what continents you can see that are touching the Atlantic Ocean here. I will give a minute for everyone to write in with that. I can see where I grew up, right around there, that part of land there, that's the state of Michigan, and it looks like a hand. If you hold up your hand, it kind of looks like that. That's where I grew up. All right. All right, Javeria says Africa or South America. Yep. Oh, I'm moving away. Here we go. Yes, there's Africa right there. And there is South America. Very good. And Michelle, there's North America. Yep. Good job. And Jolly says North America and Europe. Absolutely correct. We got our North America right here. And we've got our Europe over here. And here's Florida. There's Disneyland. I forget if it's Disneyland or Disney World in Florida. Oh no. Okay. Great. Yeah. Ben sees Africa and North America and South America and Europe. So does Milo. Good job, everyone. Karen sees Europe. Great. Okay, good. All right. That's a big ocean there. That's a big wide ocean. Next ocean is the Indian Ocean. And let's see. I guess I can't really ask, what continents can you see touching the Indian Ocean? Because this map has labeled it for us. But it's big, it's huge. And you've got Africa on one end and Australia on the other. And directly above it, you've got India sticking out into the Indian Ocean. I think that's a pretty good name for that ocean there. Gives you a good idea of where it is. Okay, lots of islands. Look at all these islands in the Indian Ocean. There's probably some really cool animals and some really cool plants and trees on those islands. Next, we've got the Pacific Ocean. This is my personal favorite because, I don't know, I just think it's really cool. I live really close to the Pacific Ocean right now, and I've gone swimming in it, and it's so big. It is touching those 4 continents, North and South America, and Asia, and Australia. And right in the middle of the picture here, you can see Hawaii. I really want to go to Hawaii. There's all these islands. There are thousands of islands, tens of thousands of islands scattered throughout the Pacific Ocean. And if any of you have seen Moana, Moana takes place following some people that live on some of these islands in the Pacific Ocean, especially down here in the south part of the Pacific Ocean, where it's very warm. The weather is warm. The water is warm. Aubrey, thank you. Disney World is in Florida. Okay, good. Okay, good. Isaiah and I went to Hawaii, says Anjali. That sounds incredible. I want to go to Hawaii. It looks beautiful, and it's nice and warm there. Yep. Okay, good. Our next ocean, the last one on the list is the Southern Ocean. And that's the part of the ocean right around Antarctica. If we look, looking at the very top of the globe, we saw the Arctic Ocean. Looking at the very bottom of the globe, we have the Southern Ocean. My globe is trying to roll away. I'm going to catch it. Okay, I caught it. I think I have another map of it here. Yeah, okay. So everything down in the very southern part of the planet is the Southern Ocean. Now, here's a map that shows all of them together. We can see the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is cut in half in this picture. We see part of it over here, touching North and South America. And we see the other part of the Pacific Ocean over here, touching Asia and Australia. And you just kind of need to fold that around in your mind and connect it in your mind to make a globe, a sphere that the planet is. And then we see, here's the Indian Ocean. And we see the Atlantic Ocean up there and down there. It's labeled twice because it's really big. And we see the Arctic Ocean right at the very top. There's one problem. There's one problem with this map that I found, with this picture, is it only lists 4 oceans. Where's the 5th ocean? Put it in the question and answer box. What is the 5th ocean? What did they forget to mark on here? And let's see. And then while I'm asking that, I also want to ask all of you watching today, what is the ocean that you're the closest to? I am here in Oregon, if you can see my mouse there, and I'm closest to the Pacific Ocean. If I get in the car and drive for less than an hour, I will be at the Pacific Ocean. And if I keep driving, then my car will be in the Pacific Ocean, and that is not good. Okay, Milo says the Southern Ocean. Javeria, Southern Ocean. Yep. Southern Ocean, they forgot to label the Southern Ocean on this map. And yeah, exactly. All right, Milo says he's closest to the Pacific. You live in California. Yep. Pacific Ocean. Good. Reese is closest to the Atlantic. Anjali is closest to the Pacific. All right. I wonder, is there anyone watching today that it has the Indian Ocean closest to them, or maybe the Arctic Ocean. Let's see. If there's anyone here who lives in Antarctica, then they would be closest to the Southern Ocean. I don't think we have anyone watching from Antarctica, not today. Javeria says, oh, they live in Pakistan, they're closest to the Indian Ocean. Excellent. Okay, good. And if there's anyone here from Norway or Finland or these countries up here, or from Russia, then you would be closest to the Arctic Ocean. That would be really cool if we had someone in all of these places. Great. Okay. Here is one of the really cool things about the oceans is that they're always moving. The water is always moving around, and the water moves in very predictable patterns. And you can see the red arrows are showing warm water moving around, and the blue arrows are showing cold water moving around. And you'll see that those red arrows, the warm water, is closer to the center of the map here, closer to the equator. And that's the part of the planet that is the warmest. It gets the most sun. It's basically summer all year round on the equator. It doesn't really have a winter. It doesn't get cold like it does here in Oregon or in Michigan where I grew up. You're not going to get any snow on the equator. So it's very warm. So water that's in the ocean on the equator gets a lot of sun and it warms up. And then you can see there's these like circular patterns in each of the oceans where the water goes in a big circle. And so the water will go down towards the equator, the center of the map there, and it'll warm up, and then it'll keep going in that circle, and it'll go up towards either towards the Arctic, or if you're on the southern part of the planet, it'll go down towards the Antarctic, and it'll get cold down there, and then the cold water circles back up towards the equator, and where it warms up again, and then it goes back down. And it's this constant dance. It's really cool. It's dancing. Now, does anyone notice that on the northern part, in the northern Atlantic Ocean, in the northern Pacific Ocean, all the turning happens clockwise. If you were to put a clock on there, it's turning in the same direction that the hands of a clock turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and so on. And on the southern part of the map, it goes the opposite way. It is going counterclockwise against the clock. If you were to put a clock down there in that southern Pacific Ocean, and the time would be, the clock hands would be going backwards from how we normally count time. It would go 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. I think that's really cool. And sorry, I got distracted by a comment here. I think that's really, really cool. Here's another picture showing these ocean currents, and you can see the warm air and the the warm water and the cold water from the red and blue arrows. I would think that this arrow here would be a little bit more blue than red. And yep. Anyway, it's a cool drawing there. I just liked that one. I think all of us growing up might have heard the phrase, I'm going to go sail the 7 seas. I loved pirate stories when I was a kid. I loved those, stories of a sailor going out, and maybe he's not a pirate. He's an adventurer. He's an explorer. He's going to go find new lands. There was this phrase, to sail the 7 seas. Well, they don't exactly mean 7 seas. We're going to talk about seas here in a minute. It just, the phrase itself meant going over kind of all the oceans, all the water of the world. But if you wanted to break it down into 7 parts, you could have the Arctic Ocean on the top. You could have the Antarctic or the Southern Ocean on the bottom, the Indian Ocean here, And then if you were to count just the Atlantic and the Pacific, then you would have 5 oceans. But if you split those two into the North Pacific Ocean and South Pacific Ocean, and if you split the Atlantic into the North Atlantic and South Atlantic, you have 7 oceans. And you could call those the 7 seas, the 7 oceans. But that word, the 7 seas, is just meant to communicate all the open water on our planet. There are things called seas, and they are thought of as separate from the oceans. The oceans are these, and let me go back to it here. It's just huge, gigantic pieces of water throughout our planet. But if you look around, you see smaller bits of water as well. It's a lot of water there, but it's not as big as an ocean. And same right there, and in there, and up there in Europe. There's bits of smaller, still big, but smaller patches of water around our planet. We call those seas. And let's look at what some of those seas are. Here's a map of Europe. You can see Africa on the bottom. And all right, so there's Europe. Here's Germany and France and Spain. There's this place kind of above France and Germany and to the west of Norway and to the east of the United Kingdom. They call that the North Sea. Very cold there. If you keep going in a ways to the east and you go through this bit here, past Norway and Sweden, and in between Sweden and Finland and Poland is what's called the Baltic Sea. And down here in the south of Europe, in between Italy and kind of some of these countries over here, you have the Adriatic Sea. If you don't know what these words mean, don't worry about it. We're learning them right now together as a team. Adriatic is talking about this sea right here to the east of Italy. The biggest sea, and the first thing I think of when someone is talking about the seas of the earth, are the Mediterranean. It's the Mediterranean Sea. It's this big, big sea right here. I wonder if I can, I want to pull this up a little bit so that we can see a bit more of it. There we go, there we go. All right, I think that's a little bit better there. We can see more of the Mediterranean Sea there. And it's there's this tiny little entrance into the Mediterranean Sea from the Atlantic Ocean over there. And it's this tiny little gap. It's only a few miles wide. You can see the other side. You can see Europe from Africa and Africa from Europe. And that's a really, really cool part of the planet right there. So you can see other parts of the sea in the Mediterranean Sea. Smaller parts of it have some other names as well. You've got the Aegean Sea between Greece and Turkey. You've got the Levantine Sea over, south of Turkey and by Israel and above Egypt. And you've got the Alboran Sea north of Africa and south of Spain. So what I think was happening here was you had a bunch of different people living around this body of water, the Mediterranean Sea, and they were all kind of giving their own names to it. If you lived in this part, maybe you lived on the coast of Italy right there, you would give a name to that body of water. And someone living over in Greece or Turkey would give a name to that part of the water that they see. So you had to combine all those names, and then someone realized that all these different seas were touching each other. So maybe we give a name to the whole thing, as well as names to the smaller parts. Like in the United States, you have Michigan and Oregon and California and New York and Florida. But you also refer to the whole thing as the United States. So you can have a name that applies to a big part of something and to a smaller part within the big part. I think that's what was happening there. That's my guess. If we go over to Asia, there's a lot of seas over in Asia. So here's the Pacific Ocean right here. At the very bottom of the map, we have Australia. At the top of the map, we have Asia, China, Thailand, Vietnam. We've got these countries up here. And you can see there's a lot of seas. Maybe that's why they call it the sea, because you can see it. And you can see for a long ways. I don't know. It's a guess. Oh, here, let me go back a couple of slides. Someone mentioned the Black Sea. Yes, so, yeah, there's the Black Sea. I almost forgot about the Black Sea there in Europe. North of Turkey, south of Ukraine, east of Russia. There's a big place in there called the Black Sea. A little bit further inland, if you were to follow my mouse here, and we kept going to the east there, kind of over around here, I think. Let me make sure of this. Yep, over kind of in this area is another place called the Caspian Sea. Okay, like Prince Caspian from the Chronicles of Narnia, if any of you have read those books. I love those books. Good. So south of China, we have the South China Sea. All right, and up here we have the Philippine Sea and the Sulu Sea and the Java Sea and the Banda Sea and the Arafura Sea. These are some really cool names. There's a lot of people that live around in that area. It's nice, really warm water. Let's see. Here's another map of these seas here. I'm gonna zoom in. We're gonna look at the top half of this really quick. So here we have China, and we have Korea and Japan over here. In between Korea and Japan, we have the Sea of Japan. And between China and Korea, we have the Yellow Sea. And to the east of China, we have the East China Sea. Very good name for that. It really tells you where it is. And if we look kind of on the bottom of this map, we see some of what we're looking at already. We've got the Philippine Sea right here, and the Sulu Sea, and the South China Sea, which is south of China, and the Java Sea, which is by the island of Java, and the Timor Sea. I don't know why they call it that. It's probably somewhere around there called Timor. Maybe there's a town there called Timor. I don't know. Let's see. The Andaman Sea. All right. Here's another word. Let's take this up. The word Gulf. Here's the Gulf of Thailand. And why is that different from a sea? Because it's called something different. That could probably be called the Sea of Thailand. In America, let me kind of go back. Here we go. There's this part here. That's called the Gulf of Mexico. It's off the coast of Mexico there and south of the United States. And you could probably call that a sea, or you could call it a gulf. Those words sometimes can be used in place of each other. They're both describing very similar things, large parts of water. Because this part here is called the Caribbean Sea, or the Caribbean. Those are both ways of pronouncing that word. I call it the Caribbean Sea, but I definitely say Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't say Pirates of the Caribbean. I say Pirates of the Caribbean. Both are correct pronunciations. It's just how I heard it. Okay, I'm gonna click forward here. We got time? We got time. There's some cool stuff I wanna show you. Okay. This is a map of the Earth, and the stuff that's above water, you can see in kind of orange or red, and the stuff that that is in different shades of blue are what's below water. And you can see on land, you can see there's mountain ranges. There's the Rocky Mountains in North America and the Andes mountain range in South America. And you've got the Himalayas over here in Asia. There's mountain ranges underwater too. Did you know that? some of them are really big mountains. Look, right here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, there's a hidden mountain range. There's a whole mountain range there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Many years from now, many millions, hundreds of millions of years from now, there's probably going to be more land, a new continent forming in between North America and Europe and South America and Africa, because you can see all this stuff growing there. It's going to take a long time for that to happen, but how cool is that going to be? You know, there's these stories of the lost continent, or the lost city of Atlantis, stories of a mysterious hidden land between Europe and North America. Well, maybe we'll call that Atlantis when this finishes growing up. I think that would be really cool. Excuse me. Over here in the Southern Pacific, you can see stuff growing up as well. And look at all this over here. There's all these random just bits sticking up from the ocean bottom there. And those are a bunch of islands. Here's Hawaii right here. A lot of volcanic activity, you know, liquid rock, hot liquid rock coming up from under the crust and building new land. And sometimes it gets so tall that it sticks up over the top of the ocean, and then you've got an island. I could not talk about oceans without talking about animals in the oceans. And here's a bunch of different ocean animals. Why don't you, in the question and answer box, tell me what's your favorite ocean animal? And I'll give a few minutes to put your answers in there. We've got sharks. There's a blue shark. There's a clownfish, if any of you have watched Finding Nemo. You've got yeah, good. We've got a starfish down there. We've got your octopus and a swordfish. These are so cool. Ahmed's favorite animal is a whale. Very nice. Milo says dolphin. I love dolphins. Dolphins are very smart. Not as smart as you guys, though, because I don't think there's any dolphins on this webinar. Nuri says blue shark. Aubrey says dolphin. Anjali says whale stingray. Ooh, yeah. Austin says squid. Squids are some of the most fascinating creatures. They are so interesting. Here's a squid right here. And we've done a lot of exploring. We know a lot about what's on land. We know a lot about the oceans. We even know a lot about what's in space. If you were watching yesterday, Diego and I were talking about space. There's so much that we know. There's so much that we understand. And there's a lot that we understand about the ocean as well. But one of the things that are most unexplored on our own planet are our oceans and the deeper parts of our oceans. There's a lot that we don't know. We know that giant squid exist. And we know what they look like, and we know about how big they are because every once in a while we'll find a dead one washed up on the shore somewhere. Or we will catch just a quick, someone will catch it on video real quick or something like that. But they're very, very rare. They're very hard to see because they live deep down in the ocean. There's no light down there. And these are one of the most mysterious creatures. We know that squid and whales fight each other. I think squid try to eat whales, or is it the other way around? I can't remember right now, but it's one of the most incredible things that happens on our planet, and we don't see it. We only know that it happens through a few bits of evidence we've been able to see and through some stories that we've heard. Sailors throughout history, as long as sailors have been telling stories, there's been stories of these giant sea creatures, maybe attacking a boat or killing the men, fighting with the men. Maybe those are giant squid. Maybe there's some truth to some of those stories. That's really cool. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna stay on that slide for a minute. We're gonna wrap up in a minute, but I want to say everyone else's favorite animals. Lucas says octopus and manatee. Yes. Octopuses, octopi. One of those is the correct word for many octopus. Are really, really smart. There's a story of there there was a room at a zoo, at an aquarium, where they would leave the light on each night, and the people that worked at the aquarium were getting confused because they would leave the light on at night, they would come in the morning, and the light was off sometimes. And it kept happening, and no one knew who was turning off the light. So they set up a camera, and they found that there was an octopus in a tank in there. He would get out of his tank, he would go over, he would turn off the light, and get back in his tank. They're very smart. Javiera says seahorse, and Reese says turtle. Yeah, turtles. All right, from Isaiah, sharks are my favorite animals that live in the ocean, also with a dolphin. Yeah. Ben says all of them. That's a great answer, Ben. Asher says humpback whale. For Michelle, it's the crab. Jensen says seahorse. Jocelyn says clownfish. Aren't there so many cool animals? Javier says seahorse and black seal. Austin says the kraken. Yes, a kraken is a name for like a giant squid, big giant squid. Swordfish from Adam. Wow. Good. Dolphins and more dolphins. Thank you, Daniel and Jane. All right, Ben says flying fish. All right, thank you for joining me and for learning more about the oceans and animals in the oceans and things about the oceans. Where's the warm water and the cold water? We could talk about this forever. If you want to learn more about oceans, about continents, about maps, all this kind of stuff, you can go to heronbooks.com, and there's this book. It's called Independent Learning Activities. And in here, there's a bunch of individual activities that you can do. And this is great for kids kind of like from 5 to 7 years old. I did a lot of these with my son a few years ago. A lot of really great stuff in there. So feel free. You can go to heronbooks.com, and your parents can use the promo code Delphian30 to get 30% off of either this book or everything else that's available for sale there. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone.